everyone. My speech or persuasion, it's going to be on the housing crisis in our community and why we must act now. I want to talk to you today not simply to educate you, but to convince you. Our community's housing problem is something that occurs every day. It's not simply something we read about in the news or hear from others. Our students, friends, neighbors, and even some of us personally are being impacted. However, this dilemma is too frequently disregarded, concealed under growing costs and decreased possibilities. Rent increases, the loss of cheap housing, and the fact that more actual people were having difficulty finding safe homes sparked my interest in this subject. Since then, my knowledge has only clarified one thing. This is not merely a complicated problem. We need to take action because it's a human catastrophe. Picture this. Can you imagine waking up every day wondering if you'll have a roof over your head in the next month? Many families in our neighborhood live with this worry every day. Rising rent and stagnant salaries are putting individuals in difficult positions. According to a Harvard University study from 2023, over 51% of renters spend more than 30% of their income on housing, which is the government affordability limit. Even worse, almost 26% spend more than half of their income just to keep housed. As researchers Matthew Desmond and Rachel Kimbrough explained in their study from 2015, I quote, "The odds of experiencing material hardship increase significantly after eviction, as does the likelihood of experiencing depression, parenting stress, and poor health." In other words, eviction doesn't just take away your home, it takes a toll on your mind, your family, and your future. And as Desmond powerfully states in a separate study from 2012, quote, "Eviction is the cause, not just the condition of poverty. It doesn't just reflect economic hardship, it deepens it. Eviction can trigger job loss, school instability, and long-term financial ruin. It's not just the result of poverty, it's one of its engines." Real hardships and real experiences. Jenny Martinez, a longtime Soledad resident, spoke with me on August 4th, 2025. When she first moved here, she was able to pay rent and maintain her family with one job. Her rent has nearly doubled, but not her income. Jenny said to me, quote, "I've had to work 2 jobs just to stay afloat, and even then, I'm constantly concerned that I won't be able to pay rent next month." I also chatted with Sofia Delgado, a senior in high school, on August 1st, 2025 here in Soledad. Her family has relocated 3 times in the previous 2 years due to rent increases. They spent some time in a motel while looking for a place to live. How can a student concentrate on their studies while also thinking about where they will sleep? It even affects landlords. In order to provide for our family, my dad, Saul Jimenez, who I interviewed on July 2025 in Salinas, he owns a few rental properties, but not for financial gain. He informed me that maintaining affordable rent is becoming more difficult every year. Inflation, repairs, and property taxes continue to rise. It's a difficult balance, but I'm not trying to exclude anyone, he says. This is a flawed system that isn't helping anyone, not a crisis brought only by malicious individuals. Let's demand solutions now that we know the causes. According to housing advocate James Perez, who I interviewed on August 1st, 2025 in Salinas, developers create luxury units to increase profits. This leaves working families with few economical options. This is a structural failure. A scarcity of cheap housing, lax tenant protections, and antiquated zoning restrictions that prevent the creation of lower cost residences. However, simply recognizing the causes is insufficient. We must also take action. To make matters worse, according to a national low-income housing coalition in 2025, a full-time worker in California must earn $28.58 per hour to afford a modest two-bedroom rental. That's nearly double the state's minimum wage. And nationally, in no state, metropolitan area, or country in the U.S. can a full-time minimum wage worker afford a modest two-bedroom rental home at a fair market rent. That's not just a problem, it's a crisis. What can we do is this. During your local elections, support measures that advance affordable housing. Look into applicants who place a high priority in housing justice. Speak up or send letters to the city council. Public pressure is effective. Donate money or offer your services to neighborhood housing organizations that assist families in locating secure housing. Dispel false myths. Not all suffering renters are careless, and not all landlords are greedy. Use compassion and facts to raise awareness. In conclusion, now is the time for change. This is more than just a financial concern. It is about health, education, equity, and dignity. It comes down to whether we want to live in a community that pulls people up or one that abandons them. We must stop viewing housing as a privilege and instead recognize it is a basic human right. So today, I am not only asking you to comprehend the housing problem, I am requesting that you care. I'm inviting you to speak. Most importantly, I ask you to take action. Change begins when we stop looking aside. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I learned together we can make a difference.